project that the Trust is so proud to support. First of all, I'm just going to run through a wee bit of housekeeping to improve your experience of the session, if that's okay. So you'll see that we've got closed captioning on at the bottom of the screen there. It's just to make the workshop as accessible as possible. It's auto-generated, so I will need to do my posh Glaswegian accent to see if it stops the nonsense. But if you prefer not to have the captions on, you can just click on the live transcript and take them off. If you're happy to, could I ask you to rename yourself with your first name? And if you feel free to add your organisation if you're here in a work capacity. We'll be doing a wee quiz today, so if you have access to another device or you have the ability to open another browser on your laptop, that would be great. Can I say that it would be good if you can make sure that you're on gallery view, so you can find this option in the top right hand corner of your screen. If you see lots of people right now, then you're on gallery view, and if not, just click that button. And we're going to be recording this session, so if you don't want to be in the recording at all, just keep your camera off and we'll edit this bit out, and just keep your camera off for the full session. If I could ask everyone just now then, and during the presentations and film, just please have your camera and your microphone off unless you're presenting and speaking. So Ruth and Robert, you keep yours on. So now your camera's off, you'll see lots of little black boxes with names on them. If you're on a laptop, you can get rid of these by right-clicking on any of the black boxes, including your own, and a wee drop-down menu will appear and it will say select hide non-video participants. And that means that you'll just see Ruth and Robert in the film and whoever's presenting at the time. You'll see everyone again when we put cameras back on later, so thanks for that. So it's amazing to see how many people are here today and how busy the workshop is. Quite often through funding programmes, funders can fall into the trap of using language or designing a process that can restrict people's ambitions. We can sometimes make people bend and shape their proposals and their practice and their aspirations to fit our requirements. We can unconsciously stifle co-production just by getting in the way. But by behaving in a certain way, funders, sometimes they send out the wrong signal and possibly stop fantastic projects and creative minds from approaching us with a great idea, even when they're totally focused on transforming the lives that we want to transform too. So as a funder, you have to make the effort. You have to be flexible if you want to elevate everyone's voice and make rights real. You have to take risks. When you see a gap in your funding, you have to seek out the people and the projects and the organisations that you know you should be reaching but are not. Building a relationship with Aberlour and with Ruth and Robert around the Rights and Equalities project has been a privilege for the Life Changes Trust. You're about to experience just a little bit of that privilege that we have. You'll learn all about the creativity that runs through everything that they do. And if you have any questions as we go along, please put them in the chat. My colleague Celeste will be keeping an eye on them and we'll gather them up for the question and answers towards the end. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to two people at the heart of the project, Ruth Harvey, Rights and Participation Officer at Aberlour, and Robert Morrison, talented young person, presenter, and as we'll see today, quiz master. Thanks very much. Over to you, Ruth and Robert.
Thank you so much for such an incredible introduction, Mary. Are you there, Robert?
Yeah, sorry, I just hit the wrong button.
You're absolutely fine. The joys of putting things online.
Yeah.
So as Mary said, hi everybody, my name's Ruth Harvey and I have the privilege of being the Rights and Participation Officer at Aberlour Childcare Trust. So I work across the country in loads of our services, but our wee project is specifically focused on the rights and participation of young people who have care experience and disability. And that's what we're going to be talking to you about today. But I'm not the most important person here today by any manner of means, because he's sitting beside me, sort of. So I'll let you introduce yourself.
So everyone, my name's Robert. I'm still looking Dunfermline today, and I'm looking forward to doing the quiz with you later.
Okay. So Robert and I have been busy people over the last few years, getting to know each other and doing lots of bits and pieces of work. So we're delighted to have been invited to come along and kind of speak to people and let you know what we have been up to. But we have been working together very recently after being separated because of the lockdown. We were able to come together a few weeks ago to create something that we're going to premiere here today. So everybody that's here is really privileged to have a first glimpse at what we've made. So Robert, do you want to just talk a little bit about what it is that we've made?
Oh yeah, so a few weeks ago now, Ruth? Yeah. Ruth actually came over to the house and we've done a film that we'd like to share with you today.
That's right. So Robert lives in one of our Aberlour houses over in sunny Dunfermline. Let's tell them it's sunny. And we came together to create a short film just to show people what we've been up to.
Yep.
Right, we'll turn our cameras off, Robert.
Yeah, turn the mics off as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I have been working on the Rights and Participation project at Aberlour for nearly 3 years now. We are a project that's been funded by the Life Changes Trust, initially for 2 years, but we've been really fortunate to have that extended for 4 years to continue the work that we're doing. So the focus of the Rights and Participation project is to look at the experience of young people aged 14 to 26 who have an experience of care and a disability. We focused on how their rights are being met and what participation looks like for them, how active they are in decision-making processes and having ownership over their lives.
The Rights and Participation project was really important to us at this service to basically support the work that we were doing and to empower young people to acknowledge that they do actually have rights, they have choices. We do care about the young people, but sometimes we cannot overlook that people are the experts in their own experiences, in their own life, and they have a right to be the hero in their own stories. Robert lives in our house here, which is a residential house, and he shares that with 4 other young people. So this is their home. And what we noticed with Robert was his anxiety levels started coming down. We felt that was in relation to he was beginning to realise that he did have choices in his life.
So well, yeah, I have been involved in it for 3 years now, right? 3 years now, so I've been doing that. Some of the rep for the young people in here. So some of my housemates use like talkers and that, and some of them can't talk, so when I'm meeting with Ruth or anyone else, I get their views and then I ask if they've got anything and I write it down, take notes of it. So I have it there and I'm speaking to Ruth and I don't forget.
We've had to think really creatively about how we engage with young people, so that's been things like creating documents with really simple language and pictures and signs that support it, creating videos that are signed along to send ahead to try and lower the anxiety of the young people that we're meeting with, different arts activities. We've also used different specialist tools creatively, so things like Talking Maps, which is a resource which helps us to have better conversations using pictures.
So a social work review happens on a regular basis, to happen every year. Robert actually came to his review prepared. He had his own written notes, and it was great to see Robert and this social worker actually discussing his life, how he was doing, and he had ownership of that review. It belonged to him.
And I actually was able to go over my own review, tell him what I'd been up to, like tell Helen if there's anything I didn't like, she would write it down. If something I did like, she would take a note of that. And then at the end we'd just go over how I was feeling after it. So it's quite a good experience, that.
Our key findings from the project are that we need better and more creative and consistent advocacy for children and young people that are experiencing care and have a disability. That young people with learning disability are more involved in their transitional planning. And our other key finding is around care planning, that young people are more aware of their rights and that they're more able to contribute proactively to how they want to be cared for and looked after.
If you'd have told me a couple of years ago that one of your young people would be asking questions directly to a politician you know, I'd probably have had to kind of take a step back.
Because the Scottish elections were 2 weeks ago now, and I actually got to put forward what I wanted to ask the MSPs, and I'm hoping that they've listened to me. I hope that the voices of young people in Scotland have been heard, that the young people with learning disabilities, I hope their voices have been heard and listened to.
Key learnings for us is looking at rights and participation not as an add-on feature, but actually to be a living, breathing part of the work that we do day in, day out.
I've loved doing this project. It has been such an amount of learning for all of us, and I feel so inspired from the stories that we've gathered and the young people that we've heard from about how brave they are, and being able to see people like Robert begin to realise their rights and understand the power of their voice and the impact that they can have has just been incredible.
Thank you very much, Mary, for sharing that out. And Robert,
Thank you.
You are a total film star.
I am. Yeah. I'll just say that now.
It was really brave of you to do that video and to share your story. So I'm just delighted that you were able to do it. How did you find making the video? What did you enjoy it?
I loved it. To be honest with you, I loved it. It was doing that one, but the one before that I said about doing the one for the MSPs, like asking them, was pretty nervous. To be honest, I was like, my God, I've never asked anything to MP in my life.
And can you remember what your question was that you asked to the potential MSPs?
Oh God, now you're asking me.
Testing your memory, because this wasn't part of it, but just because you've mentioned that, you were asking her about employment, weren't you?
Yes, it's something to do with what was it now? Paid employment, but for young people with learning disability.
Yeah,
how
absolutely.
Would the MSPs how would the parties help young people get paid employment with organisations and different places?
That's something that you're going to be able to go back and hold those MSPs to account with the answers that they gave. So that was an incredible opportunity, and I'm incredibly proud of how you managed to speak up on behalf of yourself, but on behalf of other people that might feel the same, that have got a learning disability and want to be in work. So sorry, Robert, I threw you a curveball there because that wasn't part of what we talked about.
Did we mention about this special guest that we had in the garden?
Yes, that'd be great. So
I don't know if everyone's seen it, but there was a horse in the garden. If everyone's seen it, that's one of our staff here is actually well, she does relief here, but she's also got 2 horses, and that was one of our horses that came. Now the horse's name is, remind me what?
That's Tilly the therapy pony.
Yes,
that's right. And actually, Robert, in the spirit of being creative and going with the flow, do you want to tell us a little bit about why Tilly's important to the young people that you live with?
It relaxes them. It's more because she's like you just said, she's a therapy pony, and she does different things. Like Fiona brings her to the house. I don't know when, but yeah, it's lovely. It's absolutely lovely to see the pony in that, because when I was around it, I just felt relaxed. Don't know about yourself,
Yeah, it was incredible. It's such a special thing, and I think today we're talking about obviously our rights and how we've been discovering that, but we're also talking about how we've behaved creatively and how we've designed things creatively. So I think a bit of creative thinking and involving things like animals and Tilly the therapy pony has been a big hit for helping to lower anxieties and be able to help the young people that you're living with to be able to sort of manage themselves a wee bit more and be calmer in what they're doing. So that's been a really creative kind of input into our house, I think, hasn't it? So thanks so much for that, Robert. So now there's now I wanted to, before we go into the next thing, which is your quiz, there's a reason. Now we all love a quiz. but there's a very specific reason why Robert has chosen to do a quiz today. And do you want to share about what happened during last year?
So as you all know, we went into lockdown on the 23rd of March last year, which was a bit it really got to me better. The quiz, I just had an idea to myself, and I thought, I'll be doing a quiz or something. So I spoke to you, and then the idea just went from there, really.
Yeah, so I got a call from Robert saying that, I hope it's okay to share this, that you're feeling a bit disconnected, that like most of the rest of the world, that you're feeling a bit lonely, and a bit bored, I think it's fair to say, and that you had come up with this idea of having a quiz. And who could we invite? So Robert worked with other young people that are in your house to create the first quiz, and we invited, well, who did we invite? Can you remember? It
was like different houses, so like all the different Aberlour houses, services, even some of the staff.
That's right. So we had, so this started as, we weren't sure whether it was going to work or not, but we thought about it, and we listened to what the other guys in the house were saying that they wanted as well, and we invited people from across our Aberlour houses to join in. And well, I think I can say, Robert, it was a roaring success, because that then ran for 19 weeks, every Tuesday night. Robert, you never missed one. Everybody got to contribute to it, and that was people that had learning disabilities, people that didn't have learning disabilities, and all sorts of people in between that would pop up and pop in for different things. So what you did, the idea that you had, then grew arms and legs even more, and became more than just a quiz. It became something that meant we could connect. And also we had other nights as well. Can you remember any of the other? So it was the quiz sometimes, but then we had show and tell night. That's right. Where we could share things that were important to us. And we had, well, we did TikTok night. I'm still not sure that I know what TikTok is, but you guys all seem to enjoy it. And we had lots of brilliant...
Talking about TikTok, Ruth, me and some of the other staff actually done a TikTok. I don't know where it is, but I could find it, send you the... See if I can get it.
Great. You can help me learn a bit more about TikTok. I never feel as old as I do when we talk about TikTok. But,
I wasn't going to...
So the quiz was really successful, and that was all thanks to you and your creativity. So we decided today that being online for an hour is quite a long time for people. So we wanted to do something that was going to get people interacting a wee bit, and it would be difficult because it's a big room full of people. So Robert came up with the idea of having a bit of a quiz around some of the things that we've been learning about through our project. So we are going to do it using Mentimeter. So for anybody who hasn't used Mentimeter before, it's a really easy tool to use. So what I will do is, in the chat, I will put the link to Mentimeter, and if people could use their phones or their browser to access, you go to www.menti.com. So I will type that in here, www.menti.com. And then when you get to Menti, you need to enter a wee code. So the code is 2974 and 7135. So I've typed that into the chat there. So we'll just give people a minute. And if you can let me know if you can get on, because we know, Robert, that I'm not bad at rights and participation, but I'm not great with technology. So hopefully that will work for people. So so if you head over to, right, Colleen's saying she got on. Mary says she's in and ready to win. Oh, right, okay. Both work. Brilliant. Great. Okay, we'll just give people just a few more seconds, then, to 30 seconds or so, just to get in. Okay. And then, Robert, you are our quiz master extraordinaire, so I'm going to hand it over to you, okay? Okay, now there is no prize for this. It should say it's just the glory of knowing that you are a winner, which I would say that's enough at the moment. So I'm going to share my screen for the Menti. Okay, Robert. Oh, people started answering already. Sorry.
Oh my goodness, focus started answering.
Robert, that's okay. Robert, do you want? No, why don't we read it out? Because we were talking about when we're working with different people, some people are brilliant at reading, but some people not so much. So we always like to make sure that we give people as much information as they can.
Yeah.
So if it's okay, Robert, we can stick to the plan, and you can read that that question out for us.
Yeah, so do you want to do one? Do you want me to do one and you do one, Ruth, or do you just want me
You
to?
go for it, Robert. It's your quiz.
So what does UNCRC stand for? Is it the United Nations Conference on the Rights of Criminals? Oh God. United Convention of the Rights of Complex Needs, or is it I'll get my work. Hang on.
Take your time.
My tongue got stuck now. Or is it the United Convention on the Rights of the Child? Was it 1, 2, or 3?
And we can see all the results coming in there,
Yeah.
so we'll just give people another minute or so. But
Yeah,
I think it sounds like we've got some knowledgeable people in the room, Robert.
Yeah, I think we have got some knowledgeable.
So Robert, do you want to tell everybody what the right answer is?
So the answer is United Convention on the Rights of the Child. So the third one, number
That's
3.
right. And Robert, what is that? What is the UNCRC? Like, what does it mean?
Well, I've actually got a good point about that. The UNCRC, it's basically the rights for young people in Scotland. Well, not just young people. And I don't know if everyone knows, but recently, was it this year or was it last year? Ruth, correct me.
This year.
This year in the Scottish Parliament, they were actually debating about it, and it's now officially, and I can say this with a smile now, it's now in the Scots law, so the Scottish Government must follow this.
That's right. We've
If
got a little bit of a journey left yet, but yes, you're absolutely right. It's going into Scottish law. Well done, everybody. So everybody that joined in for that question got a point. So well done. Okay, Quizmaster, shall I move on to the next question?
Yes.
Okay.
Multitasking.
Trying my best.
What? It's no.
Not letting me.
Oh no.
It's okay, don't worry.
All right, we'll get it. We'll get there.
We'll get it. There we go. Okay, so question 2, do you want to read that out?
I've still, you can get a picture supported version of the UNCRC. Is that true or false?
Well done. So we know that the UNCRC is the United Nations Conventions on the Rights of the Child, and that sets out all the rights so all the promises that the government make to all children and young people. But is it a big dusty book somewhere, or are you able to get picture supported versions? And we know through the Learning from Our project that loads of people prefer having picture supported versions.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. So Robert, is it true or false?
It is true.
It is true. And there was a clue because it was in the video, wasn't it? The Scottish Children's Commissioner produced a symbol version, which we like to chop up and use for flashcards and pairs games and all sorts. And it's on the wall, isn't it? I think.
Like you've seen in the video when they were doing like wee snippets of the house now, you've actually seen it on the wall because we've got one here.
That's right. And I know that regularly that gets pulled down and used by people to look for things. For some people to use as flappers if they're wanting to stim, which is also a great use for it.
Or to cool themselves down, that's what I would do. I would just take it off.
Or a fan, yeah, if you need to cool down, that's true. But it's really important that exists and that people know about it so that we can better share it with children, young people in general, but also with learning disability.
Yeah.
Okay, Robert, this is a big long one. Are you okay to read this one out?
Would you like to read it, Ruth? Because I've done 2.
Okay, yeah, I'll take my turn. So this is another true or false. This is Article 12 of the UNCRC, says that all children and young people have the right to be listened to about decisions in their lives. So this question is asking, like, is it a right that children and young people get to make decisions, or is it just something that we think should happen? So we'll see what everybody thinks about that.
Yeah.
Okay. Everybody seems super knowledgeable so far, Robert. Everybody's going
to
the same thing, aren't they? So do you want to give the answer? Do you want me to give the answer?
Yeah, you can give the answer for the next 2.
Okay. So you're absolutely right. It is true. So it's not just something that should happen. It's something that is a fundamental right, and it's as a participation worker, one of my favourites, that it's not a choice that we listen to children and young people involved in decision making. That's something we must do. Okay. Well, we're cooking with gas now. It's moving along. Right, you go for this one then, Robert.
So Article 12 does not apply to children and young people who can't speak. Is that true or false?
Brilliant. So a lot of the young people actually that we've been working with don't speak for various reasons, or can't speak for various reasons. So we don't really need to listen to them, do we? True or false? Good. We've definitely got some knowledgeable people. So the answer for that, Robert, is
false.
Is false. Yeah. So sometimes we have to think creatively and differently about how we listen to children, young people, if they can't speak or don't speak. But that's not to say that we shouldn't be doing that. We've heard a lot, haven't we, that people really like it if you can talk to them, and if you can write things down. But when things get a little bit trickier, then sometimes people get a bit scared or a bit afraid, or they don't quite know how to do it. But you absolutely have to and can listen to children, young people who can't speak, and involve them in decision-making processes. Okay, so I think this is our last question, Robert. Do you want to read this one? Do you want me to?
Yep. So how many young people in care in Scotland have a disability? Is it 700, 1,200 or 1,700?
Yeah, so this is us looking at this now. This figure is approximate, and it was from a few years ago that we've got this, but it's the most up-to-date figure that we could find. So we'll just see what people think about that. Okay, we'll see. This one split the vote a bit, isn't it?
Right.
Between the two. Okay, so Robert, what was the right answer? Can you remember?
So the correct answer is 1,700 young people in care in Scotland have a learning disability.
Right, and that works out to roughly 12% of the care experience population at the moment. Although we did find out we are finding out and learning through our project that we're not sure how accurate that number is, because depending on access to short breaks for children, young people with disabilities, depending on where they live in the country, there's different thresholds for whether or not they're deemed to be looked after or not. But we'll talk a bit more about that a bit later on. But that is the end of our quiz for now. So I will stop sharing my screen. But well done, everybody. And top marks if you got the full 5.
Well done, everyone.
And well done, you quiz master. You did a great job. Okay, so I am going to share my screen again, and we're going to just talk you through a bit of the presentation, just to tell you a little bit about how we've worked creatively to engage with young people with disabilities and the care experience, to tell you a bit about what we've found, what we've done, where we've been. And you and I, Robert, are just going to keep having a bit of a chat about the slides and talk people through it. And as we say, if after we've presented, there's going to be an opportunity for people to ask questions. So if you've got any questions while we're going through things, feel free to pop them in the chat, and then we can answer at the end. But we're just going to go through our presentation first. Okay, Robert, you ready for me to share my screen? Magic. Oh no, it's disappeared. Hang on.
Oh, didn't I? This or that.
That's okay.
You had it all fixed earlier before this.
I did. I know. I thought I was so clever.
Oh no.
Hang on a minute. Okay, let's try that again.
Second time lucky.
Second time lucky.
That's that.
How's that looking?
There we go.
It's the small version, but hang on a wee second.
From beginning.
There we go. Okay. So we want to talk a bit more about rights and inclusion and creativity. You'll see little symbols through the whole presentation. So they are Boardmaker symbols. Other symbols are available, but we've been using Boardmaker throughout our projects to make symbol supported bits and pieces. So you'll see that throughout, but that's what we've used to do those. And sometimes Robert's with me when we talk to people, and sometimes Robert is a very, very busy man. So we always like to have a wee picture of us in the front.
Should I talk about this photo, Ruth, or do you want me to?
You could very briefly tell us what that photo is of.
So that photo is one of the many that we took when we were up at the Rights Residential up at Pitlochry, but that was when we went on the segways, which was fun.
You were excellent at, and I was less excellent at, but it was good fun.
It was, yeah.
Okay, and you get to talk. Remember, we'll talk a bit more about that weekend as well a bit later.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Magic. Okay, so as you've already know from the video that our project is funded by Life Changes Trust, and we're looking at the experience of young people who have care experience that are aged 14 to 26 and have some kind of a disability. So we needed, first of all, to work out how we were going to engage with these young people and gather them, let them know what it was that we wanted to ask of them. So we created lots of different things to introduce ourselves and to find out. So Robert, do you want to talk us through what the pictures are on the page?
So some people some people use symbols like Boardmaker, so it's easier for them to read. So Ruth actually sent this out before she came to see us. I might be saying this wrong, Ruth, but I don't.
No, that's absolutely right.
No,
and that was nearly 3 years ago for you and I, so it's a bit of a stretch to remember. So no, you've done really well remembering that. Yeah. So every piece of literature that we've put out to people has been in an easy read format. So what that means is that it's broken down into short, concise, digestible pieces of information with a wee symbol next to it to help explain what it is that's being said. So we sent out a letter explaining what the project was, and we also sent out the wee opt-in form on the other side. So that came out, and that was to give people the opportunity to say yes, come and see me, or don't, because I think often decisions can be made, or yeah, come and see them, but we really wanted to make sure from the get-go that we were putting the ball back in the court of these young people, that actually if it's not the right time, that's okay too. So so my mug is all over a lot of these things. Yep. And speaking of that, we also appreciated that sometimes people like to sort of get a better idea of who was coming out to see them. So Robert, do you remember getting this video out to you? No.
I think so, Ruth. I'll need to.
It was a long time ago. Yeah. But I'll just share this. It's only 40 seconds, but it got sent out ahead of me coming out. In fact, I've just realised I've not shared with my sound, so I'm just going to stop sharing my screen for a second and then reshare it again so that the sound is on there. Okay, so this was sent out ahead of me going to visit with people.
Hello, my name's Ruth Harvey and I work at Aberlour. I need your help. I want to learn about you and your life. I want to make Scotland and Aberlour a better place to live. If you can help me, please speak to one of the people that already help you and we can arrange to meet. It should be lots of fun and not hard work. I've written you a letter so you can let me know. Thank you very much for listening to me and I'll see you soon. Bye.
So that's my cheesy mush doing that. But that's not to say to engage with young people with learning disabilities that you need to have skills like being able to sign. But if you can get people to help you to create something that's going to be accessible to as many people as possible, we've found that that's really, really helpful. Okay. Hello. No, not me again. I want to go to the next slide. Here we go. So this is a map of Scotland and gives you an idea of where we've been. So Robert, can you see your house there, sort of?
The Red Star.
That's right. You're in
I think
there.
that's Dunfermline. Well, yeah.
It sort of is. You know my geography.
That's the Kingdom of Fife there. I can tell that. Eh?
That's the Kingdom of Fife.
Kirkcaldy's about there, and then Dunfermline's roughly about there.
That's it. So and all the other stars represent different Aberlour option services, which is the overarching term that we use for our services that support young people with disabilities. So it was a range of different care settings. So working with young people that were accessing short breaks, living in residential care, such as yourself, Robert, young people that were involved in fostering, and also young people that were in kinship care, living, with other family members, or experiencing care at home as well. So we really wanted to hear from as wide a breadth of people as we could. So disclaimer, there is a man in this picture that is not part of our steering group. Go on, Robert.
So for those that don't know, this is the first, no, it's not Robert, this is the Deputy First Minister. I keep getting the two of them mixed up, and he had his I don't know, what was it,
his constituent surgery was in the place where we had our residential, so we saw an opportunity and we chased it.
So we nabbed him, said, "Can we get a photo with you?" So we managed to get a photo with the Deputy First Minister, which was good.
That's right. So this was our original steering group, and things have kind of changed a wee bit as people have come and gone. But we were really keen from the start that we would gather a steering group of young people to be able to help affect the direction of the project. We also appreciated that a lot of our young people didn't verbally communicate or wouldn't want to meet as part of a group, so we looked at creative ways of ensuring that they could steer the project as well. Robert talked in his video a bit about being a rep for his house. So what Robert would do would be, he's got the existing relationship with all the other young people that live in the house, and Robert, you would then be able to tell us what you think would be best for those young people from what you know and what you watch and the interactions that you have with them day to day.
Yeah. Now the guy, sorry, that photo, that's everyone in the steering group, but the guy there that's got the black t-shirt on, that's actually one of my carers. That's
right, that's one of your support workers.
Yeah.
There as well, and we've really relied on people that have those existing relationships in their staff teams around people. Okay, I'm going to keep going because I've just seen the time. We need to keep moving on, Robert. Okay, because we've not got much time left. So just a bit about our sessions. So we listened to what people needed to best tell us how they felt, and we realised from the start this was not going to be just holding groups in places, and we had to meet people where they were. So some of the sessions were delivered on as a one-to-one, supported by adults who already had relationships with the young people. So that was to help with communication, that was to help with making sure that the young person felt happy and safe, because I'm coming in as someone they don't know, and help us to build relationships. For some young people, group sessions worked great. We also had engagements with families around the young people to try and tell stories. We held sessions via Skype at the time, which was quite exciting and novel, but now we know that that's sort of part of the course. We also took the time to engage with written staff, with adults around that are working with the young people, to be able to also sort of share the story and observations of the people that know these young people best. And then I said there as well about the weekend for the steering group. Okay. So our sessions, they were lots of fun, Robert. I think mainly we covered some quite serious stuff, but we wanted to keep them fun. So we had a few things that kind of we worked out quite quickly would work for us. We had ideas about themes, but we had to work on an individual basis and communicate in a way that was right for the young people and in a space that was right for them. So there was no point in hiring a hall somewhere off when we knew that we needed to go in and sit on the floor with them in their own living room. Taking the time to build relationships, we had lots of activities like a game of pass the parcel where there were questions in each layer, which was a great way of engaging and getting to know young people. We had practical things like sensory items available during sessions or breakout spaces, if things were getting too much and too agitated, people getting too agitated or upset with things. And we also, I felt at the beginning that I could do it all, and actually I wasn't the right person to be doing all that, listening to the young people, because sometimes that just wasn't appropriate, and that actually it was about supporting adults that already had those relationships with children and young people to do it. And then I've put at the bottom there, flexibility, go with their flow. So to go with the flow of what's been, where the young people wanted to lead that. And sometimes that involved us sitting and wrapping Christmas presents or rolling around the floor covered in food, or doing lots of different things, but just sort of going with it. So I've got just a wee example there. If we were talking about how we make choices, this is one of our young people, and we were reflecting on choices that they had already made, and on one hand, and choices on the other hand that they would hope to make in the future. So that was just thinking about offering a different way of writing things down, so it wasn't just spoken words, and for some young people drawing it as well. So these are some of the activities that we did. This is just a handful of them, but we use talking mats a lot, which I'm going to go on to talk about in a moment to discuss things that were important. We did drawing and graphic facilitation for best meeting in the world versus worst. We used the big rights symbols to do games like matching pairs and have discussions. We did poetry, we did the high five choices, we had quizzes, we did huge pieces of work of art, which maybe didn't even, what was in on the paper wasn't really anything to do with what we were talking about, but that was a flow activity that could be happening while we were having conversations. And as you see, we've got those board maker signs down the side there. So this is one of our talking mats that we use, and I know that Margot from Talking Mats is here, so hi Margot, thanks so much for coming along. So for those of you who don't know, Talking Mats is a fab communication tool that was actually developed here in Scotland by speech and language therapists, and it basically uses symbols. I say pictures in the video, which isn't the right terminology at all. It uses symbols to help us to have better conversations. So Robert, what do you think of the Talking Mats? We've used them quite a bit.
Yeah, like I was saying, when Ruth came over to do the video, we actually done a talking mat. I don't know if everyone's seen it in the video, but we were just doing. She was asking me what I liked, what I didn't like, and what I wasn't too sure about.
That's right, and we've used it in loads of different ways. Yeah, it gives people time to process. It can be used with as much spoken language or as little spoken language as you would need. It can be really low tech like this. Or we've also got a digital app that we use as well now for young people that are more sort of excited and motivated by using screens. So for anybody that's looking at listening better to all children and young people, but especially young people that have got maybe communication difficulty, I'd urge you to go and investigate Talking Mats further. As part of our project, we also have been training staff across the organisation to be able to use it to continue the conversations that we've been having, and that's in our options services, but it's also in our what we would do more mainstream services, because we know that this can help a range of people to have better conversations. Yeah, and from one of our talking mats, we worked out with one of our young people that he had a lot of questions that he just never had the opportunity to ask. So that's some of his questions there about the future. So we know if we can answer and give space to ask these questions, that it's going to help us to listen better and also to alleviate anxieties and help with future planning. Okay, so a lot of our young people, as I say, don't have physical voice. So we had to be really creative in how we work with those young people. So we, things like dynamic consent, so we called it, so that would be when we were doing an activity, thinking about one of the young people that used to live in your house, Robert, who was a wheelchair user and didn't use his voice to speak, but we knew whether he wanted to take part in a session because he would physically move away from us, at which point we would respect that and leave that, as well as obviously gathering consent from others around because of capacity issues and things. We've put more of a focus on the importance of observation, that actually just speaking about things or writing things down doesn't work for everybody, and actually it's so important that we value watching and seeing reactions in real time, in real life. I've talked there about listening eyes, because actually listening ears don't work for everyone. We need to really, really watch and then act on and record what we're seeing. Talk for these young people about gathering stories from those who love them, so siblings, peers, adults and staff that are supporting them, because what we've been hearing is that sometimes they're brilliant advocates for these young people, but they don't always get invited to the table to ask and to help support that voice. Specialist tools like talking mats and using Boardmaker, and like in your house, Robert, I know that you talk about one of your housemates, and he uses his talkers, which are his buttons that that he can press, that he's able to, so adults are able to record a message on it for him about what he's been doing in his day, or how he's shown us that he's feeling, so he's then able to choose to hit that button to tell us what he's been up to. I put there about including everyone in activities if they want to, so that people can all come around the table, but that if they don't want to be there, they don't have to be there, but that open invitation is always there. We've also done a lot of stuff with music, sort of opening and closing sessions with the same piece of music or the same song, to let young people know that that's what's starting and that it's finishing as well. It's been something that has been sort of run through the project and has helped helped us massively to engage with loads of young people, and find commonalities as well, and also to help adults maybe to understand when you put different pieces of music on and watch certain young people's reactions, how you can see quite instantly whether people are enjoying or not enjoying, or engaged or not engaged, and it's a really quick, tangible way of kind of drawing on that. I'm just aware of the time, and that we've got about 13 minutes left to go, and that we need some time for our Q&A. So I'll let you, Robert, talk just a little bit about our wee trip away, as we would call it, and then we'll maybe open up for some questions after that. So did you want to just talk a little bit about that, Robert?
Yeah, I'll do that. So the one on the right, that one there, is we're doing, was it football players, Ruth, am I right?
That's right, it was our rights football team. So
yes.
We took different rights and talked about how our rights were met or not met.
Yeah. The one on I'll come back to that one. The one on the left-hand side is me, Clinton, and two others out at a restaurant because we went for our tea before we'd done anything else. Now, the one in the middle, I know that looks fun, and it was. That was us on the segways at, I can't remember the name of the place.
That's right, up when we were up with our steering group in Pitlochville getting together, that's right. And we also had our graphic facilitator with us. We worked out pretty quickly that taking notes wasn't accessible for people, so having somebody along to draw what we were doing and saying and capture it was a lot more effective for people. And big shout out to Dave Grimm, who was class. If anybody's looking for a graphic facilitator, he is your man.
He is, yes.
So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. We've talked about the project findings in the video, and if anybody wants to learn more, they can get in touch with me, but I do want to make sure that we leave space for people to kind of ask us questions, or you really, Robert. So I'll hand over to Mary.
Thank you so much, that was incredible. I'm just going to bring Celeste onto screen because she's been keeping a wee track of some of the questions that have been coming through for you, Robert, and probably some for you, Ruth, too. So Celeste, I'll hand over to you.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for that. It's good to see you again. So we want to have a bit more of a conversation. We're going to let the people in the audience join us. And so I think I wanted to start with Mari's question, which was, wow, you have been involved in so much, Robert. What activities have you enjoyed the most?
Well, I want to say thank you for that. And I'd say doing the quizzes, going away for the weekend. That's about that. That's the only two things that have come to my mind, like right now.
That's great, Robert.
So yeah,
that's great.
And I think both those things gave you the opportunity to meet with other young people that are in a similar situation. I think sometimes that's really helpful, isn't it? Yeah,
it is.
Were the activities your favorite thing about being involved in the project?
Yeah,
Robert?
Definitely being involved with the activities were my favourite things. But the best thing about doing this is meeting with Ruth, because that.
Oh, Robert, I'll pay you later for that. That's a lovely thing to say, and I must say that I feel the same. We've had loads of learning about what needs to happen, what needs to change, but actually being able to get in alongside the young people that I have, I feel very privileged to have done it. Been able to be let in. So thanks, Robert. That's a lovely thing to say.
Yeah, honestly, you're welcome, Ruth.
So another question that we've had is about, Ruth, you've talked about supporting the adults and other people who already have relationships with young people. And we have a question of, how have you won over the adults involved? And how have you kind of gotten them involved or taken them with you on that journey?
That's a great question. Thank you to whoever said that. We've been really privileged in the fact that we've got a really engaged staff team across Aberlour, and when we were kind of doing the groundwork, everybody was really excited and up for it, so that kind of buy-in was not hard to do. But it was important that we take people on the journey with us. We weren't going into necessarily challenge things that are already happening, but just to add on to the skills and learn from them as well. So for us, that was about from the start involving the adults that were significant in these young people's lives. So approaching them as the experts in what happens in their individual services and in what's happening in those individual people's lives as well, because we know, you know, when we work with people, that what could be fine for one person one week might not be the next week. They might have had a difficult week. They might, you know, think life happens. So we really relied on those adults with those existing relationships to kind of guide us in that way, and through building relationships with them and having those kind of open conversations about what our aspirations were and asking them, like, what would you hope to get from this, that we could build that into what we were doing. So we were then able to roll out. I was so fortunate to have trained as a Talking Maths trainer now, so I'm able to continue the work and have that relationship. So when I'm doing the training, we can talk about like their service specifically. So how are we going to implement this? What's that going to look like? And I can continue to support people. And we're now looking across the organisation at developing something around our rights training and awareness raising, and we've got all these incredible members of staff and adults that love and care for our children that are really excited to be involved in it because they feel a part of ownership of this project. And I think from the video, Helen that's in the video is the service manager at your house, Robert, and she's obviously spoken quite at length there about the impact that it's had. So we've been fortunate. We've not, you know, the buy-in was there. People were excited to do it and could see the value. But I think it's definitely been about involving people from the start and checking in and giving them the due respect that they're the experts in what's been happening for them.
Yeah, that really echoes a lot of, thank you, Gordon, for that question. That was Gordon that threw that one in there. And that echoes a lot of kind of, you know, we often say that getting this right for this particular group of young people is it's good practice for all young people and for all that kind of work. And it's sort of a similar thing, right? We talk about getting alongside young people and working with them. And it sounds like it's the same thing for staff and for carers and other people who are involved. It's just it seems like no one felt like this was something that was being done to them.
I hope not. And we've been really mindful of it, because I was at the start, I was new to Aberlour, so I was employed for this post, so I didn't have a relationship with anybody in Aberlour. I didn't know anyone, and I'm thinking, oh, they're thinking someone's coming from head office to tell them what to do, or what, you know, how is this going to land, how's this going to be received? But I've been really fortunate that we've not met any of that, but we have worked hard to make sure that people are with us.
Okay, so we've got time for one last question, we think. And let's see here. I think we've got a lot of those in the chat box. So I think the last one that I'm going to ask is, what's surprised you the most in the last kind of three years of working on this project together?
Who's that to? Is that to both of us?
Both.
Oh man. Oh.
Do you want to go first, Robert?
I'll let you go first, Ruth. I'll just have a wee think about that one.
No. The thing that surprised me most, that's a brilliant question, so thank you from whoever that is. I suppose there's a lot of things that we take for granted in the way that we communicate and the control that I, as somebody without a learning disability, has over my life. And I suppose the thing that surprised me the most is that it just takes a little bit of creative thinking and lots of doors can open. But sometimes people do get stuck in a rut, and it's just about giving permission to try new things and to be creative, and that as soon as that spark's ignited, it's like, oh, a light's gone on and we can try different things and do different things. So I don't know whether that's a surprising thing or not. And also sort of how, you know, the difference in people and the young people that we've been working with. Like Robert, I can't tell you how proud I am of you, and I know in the film, like Helen touches on how confident you were speaking to the MSPs and doing all those things, but it's just been incredible to see and to kind of journey along with, I guess. What about you, Robert? Anything that surprised you?
I think you've just said it for me there, really. Speaking to the MSPs there, that's something that has surprised me over this whole thing. It's just, wow, that was an experience and a half for that. But yeah, it's nothing else that I can think of. Nothing else.
Well, thank you so much. And I'm going to hand it back over to Mari now.
Oh, I don't know what to say about that. That was just amazing, absolutely amazing. Thank you both so much. I'll start with you, Ruth, to give you a wee moment, because we all know that Robert's really been the star of the show.
And I'm fine with that.
Thank you. And Robert, thank you so much for
You're
everything,
welcome,
everything that you've taught us today, all your stories, keeping us on our toes with your brilliant quiz. And your just fantastic film. I'm so glad that people are going to get to see that now. So
Yeah.
it will be going on social media. So keep a wee eye out on Aberlour's social media.
I'll look on Aberlour. I think it'll be on YouTube as well, won't it? Aye.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll make sure we share that too. And this project is ongoing. So if you want to contact Ruth to learn a wee bit more about it, we'll just put her email in the chat in a little second. And finally, to everyone, just thank you so much for coming today, and we hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Yes.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Feel free to put your cameras on and wave bye and shout
Yeah,
bye.
say hello if you're there. It's so weird because we can't see anyone. Oh, there you all are.
Thanks, guys.
Oh, thanks so much for coming, Margaret.
Bye.
Thanks so much. Thanks, Robert. Thanks, Ruth.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Take it easy.